Hey everyone, RJ here, and today I'd like to present for you a medium format leaf shutter lens. And the one I have here is made by Schneider-Kreuznach, and this is a 80mm leaf shutter lens, which has a maximum aperture of 2.8, and this is considered a standard lens on a medium format camera. Now, the difference between this lens and the one you might use, say, on a 35mm digital SLR camera is that it is a leaf shutter lens, which means the shutter is actually built right inside the lens. Now, here's a little illustration of the leaf shutter frozen in motion. And there's a series of metal blades called leaves, and those essentially open and close in order to expose a photo. Now, if you peer into the lens, you'll notice that optically it performs about the same function than a digital SLR lens. However, the difference resides that there's a shutter inside. Now, for comparison, here is another leaf shutter lens here. This is a 55mm lens, and granted they have different optical or range of angle of view, but they have about the same sort of lens design technology with regards to having a shutter built in. Now, there's no really easy way to see the shutter unless you were to focus it in on the look at the camera, but I'll show that in a moment here. So, but if let's just say we take a typical 35mm DSLR lens, like this is my Nikon 60mm macro lens, and we rotate them on end here. You'll notice that this one actually you can't quite see through because there's an aperture diaphragm blade there, this little spring-loaded guy here, and this is not to be confused with the shutter. This is actually what the camera uses to control the amount of light that passes through the lens. Unfortunately, there's no easy way to trigger either the aperture or the shutter on this camera. However, what I'm going to do is going to take my camera here, and I can take the little white dot right there, and I mount that right on to the camera. Lock it as such. Make sure my back is turned on and my camera is turned on. I've got it set for 1/1600th of a second, which is about the speed that the flash will synchronize with in the camera. And if I pull the trigger, you'll see that it's a little bit different than what you might be used to with a typical camera. And this is what I mentioned is the advantages of the leaf shutter lens is that you can sync up to high speeds like 1/1600th of a second, as opposed to 1/25th if you're just using that focal plane shutter found in most other cameras or like a medium format camera. So not only can you freeze the subject, but you can use a much shallower depth of field, say like f4 instead of f16, and you also have a lot better control over like power ratios when you're working with ambient lighting. So I hope you've enjoyed this little video blog post, and take care.